Unless I'm gonna change all the players here and I will see only one FC. I mean, Karuna's still on the 100% FC rate. We'll see if he performs. But yeah, I would say this is definitely a toss-up, actually.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a variance in who could take this pick away from the other team here. I think, you know, with the lineup that both teams have here, the mods are gonna kind of, you know, flip both ways. I think the UK has more set mods, I think, than what South Korea would be running with. And I think that's something, you know, I mentioned before. South Korea just has so much variability in the players that can take mods that it's harder to pick who's going to come out with the mods. I would expect Flying Tuna, in most cases, to run with a Hard Rock here, but if they're confident in their other players, they'll probably run him on no mod to try and combat Bubbleman.
And that is what they are going to do, because Flying Tuna is going for the safe choice of the Nomad. And yeah, we'll see. Bubbleman is sacrificing himself for the hidden, but I think he will be really solid on this one. There's a CS3 and approach at 9.3, so there's a decent amount of density on this one, and it's also 220 BPM. Hidden might struggle a little bit with density, but should be fine generally. It's mostly about the speed, and CS3 making hard rock not too hard. But it is OD10, so you will see low accuracy.
Yeah, there's definitely a good set of stats on this map to catch people on the accuracy here. I think it's smart from the UK to run Malteser on the no mod. He's arguably one of their better speed players. So having him on a no mod is probably better to have that combo lining up. As you can see, he's holding on strong even after the accuracy dropped at the beginning. A little bit better than Karcher is at that 97% and falling on the sliders right there. And, you know, when you have a player like Bubbleman who's going to come in and FC like almost every single map, putting him on the hidden is just a really good idea. Unfortunately, Majora finding a break on the Hard Rock, though, while Karcher holds his combo with it.
Yeah, and I think the most expected mod to miss is gonna be Hard Rock here, followed by Hidden, and Noah should be pretty comfortable. So, I mean, as long as Conscious is seeing, he did his job. It doesn't matter what accuracy he's gonna get.
Yeah, you definitely have to remember there are a lot of free mods in this tournament that running a mod on is generally just a harder combination purely because that's how mods work. They're supposed to make maps harder. The big difference is when you get those, you know, little free mods where, you know, putting something like Hidden on doesn't really make a difference, or maybe even Hard Rock kind of makes it a little bit easier for a lot of players, especially with those low area R maps at the later stages. But right now, South Korea, they're quite literally just going to win this on Majora having a break very early in the map, which is very unfortunate because I think the UK could have taken this on accuracy here. There goes Karcher at the ending, but it's not like it matters, unfortunately.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but it is still unfortunate that there wasn't a 4 FC. Still 100% FC right by Karuna, and he also took the hidden mod. He might not have as a beast of an accuracy as Bubbleman, but I mean, he did his job, and Bubbleman with the 1,050,000 points. Damn.
Unfortunately for the UK, Majoris only slider breaking on that map, not even a miss, unfortunately, is basically the score difference in that map. Even Karcher's miss at the ending would have further given that over to the UK. I mean, you see the top score in the UK at just over 1 million, which makes up for the fact that Malteser was down on accuracy on everybody else in the lobby. And then, you know, we could say that it could have come back over to the UK, and I definitely was a little bit more surprised to not see someone like Kingling on that map. I definitely think he would normally be okay at that BPM on a Hard Rock, but if Majora was the stronger player, and I mean, you know, credits to Majora, he looked very strong on that map. His accuracy actually kind of proved it. Unfortunately, that slider break really taking a toll on his combo and his final score. So that's what kind of let it slip.
I mean, you see 300,000 points in difference or something like that, and it just tells like half of the tale, because any of these South Korean players could have missed in the middle, and that would have easily made the difference for the UK. That's why I was thinking this is a pretty risky pick. Because while you can have maybe like a 90% FC rate or something, you will never have a 100% FC rate, because that's just not how humans work realistically. It just wasn't a majority stay to FC this one, and Karcher missed at the end as well. But you know, if you run it back and have both these teams play this map 100 times, you could easily see UK winning that a lot of times as well.
Yeah, that's one of those, you know, floater picks that you can see on the early round free mods, where mods are pretty comfortable for the players that know they can play them. And then on that no mod is what can make the difference a lot of the time, especially even the accuracy on a map like that. We do go into Hidden to a little bit more standard of a Hidden in terms of finger controls and weird gimmicks, but we do go down to AR8, so that's going to take a lot of players out of the running here for confidence. I definitely think the UK has to run with Bubble Man, and South Korea are going to run with Flying Tuna and Karuna still. Those are basically the two sit players for South Korea today. Karuna has been performing exceedingly well, and Flying Tuna, I don't say Flying Tuna is having the best performance of the tournament by far from what he can do, but he's performing well today. Definitely up to what people would think that he should be doing. And then the United Kingdom obviously has their trump card this year, Doomsday, coming back for them. That's going to be very useful to have him on an AR8 pick here. And then, of course, you have Blue and Kingling. You have Karcher and Nilitoru coming in for South Korea, so the two new players on Hidden 2 here.
Yeah, and I mean, Flying Tuna has been playing pretty well this round, but Karuna is just outshining him so much, it's insane. I mean, Karuna is just having the match of his life here. And Doomsday coming in, I think, is a pretty good bet. I mean, he's an Approach 8 guy. He lost his Approach 8, he lost his Hidden, he lost his old style maps, and while this might not be that much of an old style map, it still is awkward enough to feel like it. And I mean, I don't expect in 4SC from any of these teams. Also, if you drop accuracy, or if you drop combo, you probably will drop a lot of combo, because I expect most of the misses to come from the streams. But you can definitely see a few misses here and there from the pattern aim. But if you miss on a stream, chances are you will have a lot of 100s and 50s and even chain misses happening, just because of the way the streams are shaped.
Yeah, this will be a really awkward map at times. The UK looking pretty strong in terms of accuracy, but Kingling does find a little bit of a misread there earlier on into the map. It's not going to be too bad for them right now, given the accuracy on the UK is pretty high overall. The big difference is going to be whether or not that break right there is going to be indicative of what is going to happen to Kingling as the map kind of ramps up a little bit here. He's definitely not their strongest hidden AR8 player on the team, but he certainly can hold his own, and there's another break right there on the big pattern. So he's not having a good time on this map, which means we need to see a break from South Korea here for the UK to win this. This is match point, by the way, so this could be shut out right now on the fact that Kingling is just not able to perform right now. There goes Flying Tuna and Karcher, though, so that's exactly what they needed.
Yeah, that was the one big stream, and this one happens like 2 or 3 times more. Flying Tuna missing on the stack, but Karcher and Flying Tuna, they're both missing and getting rid of their combo. Is going to be really good for the UK side, because Kingling has been missing on the pattern aim, but has been hitting this stream.
Yeah, this is going to be very good for the UK now. I was going to say they needed that double break now because of the fact that not only was the UK down in the combo from Kingling on that first break, but they were also going to be down in the score from the amount of time that South Korea held those 4-way FCs. But now that the UK has the 3-way compared to the only 2 on South Korea, they're going to be able to take a little bit of a score gap here, which is exactly what they need. They need a little bit of wiggle room for the ending of this map, because even though they hit the first set of that stream 3-way around, there is plenty of opportunity to break on the second one if they're not careful, and they're going to need that little bit of a gap there just in case anything happens by mistake. But South Korea could also find another break here. Almost a quarter of the map left. Ooh, hard buzz slider section there. Could have break it. You really break on any of these buzz sliders, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, especially the stream coming into the boss sliders here. I mean, this map isn't gonna let go, and we'll get right into the last PI and then the last stream. There might be more misses, but it's looking really good for the UK for now. And misses can happen anytime. And you see another miss by Kingling, and it's the first miss by Karuna. He's gonna get his first combo break, and the bull break is 100% FC right here.
Ooh, there goes Karcher as well. Karuna has put up such a good performance today, and to be perfectly honest, that is still an insane score. He's still outscoring every single person, and I'm sorry, I don't know when Nelitoru broke, but they did, and South Korea has 0 FCs left. I didn't actually realize that Nelitoru broke, and that's it for South Korea. And a Bubbleman with some of the most impressive accuracy I've ever seen on this map, and Blue holding an amazing 99% as well. And the UK is going to win that by, what, 820,000? Bubbleman just going insano mode on the AR8 hidden. That is a fantastic score. And the UK is going to take their next pick. So they're not out yet.
Yeah, so ignore what I said earlier about not really expecting the 4VC, because this was pretty close to happening. I mean, sure, Kingling missed really early on, so the dream was dead, but the freeway FC on this map is still insane as a team performance. Like, Jesus Christ, I mean, sure, we might see maybe one 4VC, but topping this score is going to be quite hard.
Yeah, that was absolutely insane from them. You know, Karuna and Karcher both in the single-digit 100 range, and I guess, you know, that's something to keep note of on most AR8 maps. People that are, you know, kind of comfortable with AR8 but not fully. You definitely see that a lot, where the accuracy will kind of hold itself up, but just with those awkward patterns, it's so easy to miss, and that's where a lot of the accuracy drops come from. So you just got to be able to hold your own on the aim, and remember that, you know, AR8 is not any different aim-wise from other maps, and I think that's what catches a lot of people, is they completely change how they aim on an AR8 map because it looks different when you're playing it, and that's the big difference on why a lot of more breaks happen in there, because you're just not comfortable rolling through something like that. So South Korea is going to go back to DT.
It doesn't really give PP, so there's very little reasons outside of tournaments and just become better as a player to really play a Project 8 hidden, or just a Project 8 in general. But yeah, one thing I do want to note here is that it is really unfortunate that when the unsung heroes, the new blood from South Korea, is performing really well, like Nelitoru back there, was matching Karuna's performance, 800k points, that's really good. They can't really shine, because when the fresh blood shines from South Korea, the UK just comes out with such a dominating performance and lead that you can't really highlight those players to make a difference, because the UK just kind of 4-way or 3-way sees them at.
Yeah, this, you know, South Korea has had a very good overall performance today, and I think even their new players have been showing up for this match. Definitely more so, they showed up earlier on in the match, but I think the thing that's kind of overshadowing it right now is that any early round performance from the UK team that was, you know, kind of overshadowed by the fact that South Korea was performing over the top is now kind of being flipped back as the UK starts to, you know, maybe find a little bit more comfortability in here. They have a very solid DT lineup in right now, and hopefully Blue has started to find his comfortability on speed right now. He was definitely looking like he wasn't maybe warmed up enough for it earlier, or maybe was just not feeling it on the streamy or stamina DT here, and hopefully he's able to kind of bring it back here. We have an early break from Blue and Karuna, but there's a lot of buzz sliders at the beginning here and awkward patterns, so it's easy to find a break early.
Yeah, it is 210 BPM, so you don't really have that much of a speed requirement here, and if you get a 93% accuracy on the 250 BPM map, you should have the speed for this 100%, so I think Blue is going to come here being really comfortable. But it's still going to be a team effort. There were the early misses coming from the South Korean side, which is going to hurt them a bit. But we do have a bit of a slowdown here, and a lot of accuracy drops. And we talk about Blue, and he's going to miss, unfortunately. Maltesers as well. This map just doesn't really stop, except for the question mark sliders, which you can see right here. You have a bit of a break here, but it's going to be really intense for the rest.
Big difference right here on the DT style of maps. We had a more stamina speed oriented DT earlier. Now we're just falling completely to finger control. There is quite literally a full 180 on this. Zayson does find a break, and Maltesers was a Bancho break, so Maltesers still holding that combo actually. So that's going to be very big for the UK. as Blue continues to hold up a combo here. If Zayson finds breaks, and there goes Karuna, that's a big combo loss. Malteser does finally break there, though. So earlier was a Banjo miss, but that actually is Malteser breaking. So the big difference right now is actually on Blue versus Zayson. Karuna and Malteser.
Oh, no!
That's not a break you want to see.
Oh my god.
Before.
It's 30,000 points difference, and just right before the break, and you just see the frustration from Majori, and oh my god, South Korea is gonna be in the driving seat for the rest of the map here.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's not looking too happy about that. He's kind of cursor circling a little bit there. That is so unfortunate. Right before the pause as well, which probably burned up a solid 8 seconds off of the time for the UK here. And, you know, to be perfectly honest, Flying Tuna and Ponytail are just not going to break at the end of a DT. Oh, okay, well.
Ponytail did, but that's
unfortunately, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that is a 200k massive difference there. And South Korea is going to push United Kingdom to the losers bracket. Majora with 1 miss, Malteser only with a slider break. And that, you know, it's another map that the UK could have completely turned around given any other circumstance. A slider break and a 1 miss are just so easy to recover from on a different play, but you know, it's just not the UK's day, and South Korea performed so well today. And you know, it's really hard to combat that. South Korea with 3 1 misses around, but that's 2 1 million scores on a DT map, which is it's a great performance from them. Bubbleman tried to do what he could with the highest score in the lobby, but South Korea just looking so strong today.
Man, that's a miss. Majora's probably gonna punch himself for quite a long time, but you know what? Keep your chin up, because it was so close. It was definitely close. There was a great team effort by the UK there. A lot of insane performances here. And I was feeling the UK comeback, not gonna lie, but you know, it just is what it is sometimes. South Korea performed so well. Karuna finally started missing towards the end maps, like the last maps there, which gave UK a bit of a chance, but the rest of the South Korean roster just, you know, step up and keep their combos. And congratulations to South Korea for advancing to the next stage. The UK is gonna drop down to the losers bracket, so you won't be missing them anytime soon, because they will return for the next weekend.
Yeah, great performance from both teams here today, and I think this was, you know, kind of the first year in OWC in a long time where the UK kind of came into this match today as the underdogs. I think South Korea had such a strong overall team, and the UK, we mentioned, taking a little bit of a hits in terms of overall skill cap. And it showed a little bit, but, you know, nonetheless, UK, they didn't have a bad match. They had a lot of good map performances. Unfortunately, they let up that breakpoint very early, which allowed Korea to have an early advantage in terms of score. And, you know, by the time they started to pull themselves together to bring it back, South Korea just had such a big score gap that it was going to be very hard to recover from that, especially on an early stage pool where a lot of these maps can go back and forth. So, you know, the UK, they put forward a really good performance, but Korea just showing us exactly why they're going to recover from what happened last week and run through the rest of this tournament here. Still in the winner's bracket, going to be going into the quarterfinals, as the UK now has to fight their way up in the losers bracket. They're going to have to have a decent time down there. They're going to drop to face off against the I believe the winner of the Philippines versus the Netherlands. So a good match from them, but nonetheless, that is it from these two teams. Congratulations to South Korea for making it to the quarterfinals in the winners bracket. As we switch over to the Russia versus Japan match in 11 minutes, I believe we're just gonna stay live, for the meantime.
We could, if we have enough things to talk about.
We got some fun stats here. Do we have any? I could pull up some fun stats and we could go over this. Let's see what we got here.
I've got one. We had one match played in the round of 16 so far. That's a fun stat, isn't it?
That is a fantastic stat. I like that. That's good information on both of these teams here. We don't know what we're talking about anymore. All right. So the big thing between these two teams here. Japan, a team that kind of fluctuates in OWC quite a bit. They either, really show up in a big year, or it is, kind of taking a big dip this year. And I think Japan kind of showed up in a little bit of a middle ground here. They are top 12 out of qualifiers in the 11th place spot. Their average rank across all maps was about 12.5, so about 12th to 13th on all qualifiers maps. You have, however, Russia, who had a great performance this year, number 6th out of qualifiers. That is a great performance from them.
Right, and I would want to highlight that this match has a lot more obvious advantages and disadvantages compared to the South Korea versus UK matchup. Because you see huge discrepancies on Nomad 1 and Nomad 2. Even if you take the average performance of Nomad, if you just look at the maps themselves, on the stream map, the Nomad 2 map, Russia was the second best, versus Japan being the 17th. And Japan was the second best in Nomad 1, the jump map of the pool, versus Russia's 16th. So you almost see a flip in Nomad 1 and Nomad 2. And if you just look at the mod brackets generally, Russia is way better on DT. Handrock is a toss-up, and hidden Japan does have a bit of a favor there.
Both teams here made a massive improvement from last year. The qualifier stage from 2019 had Russia at an average map weight, I guess, of 14.7. They have made a massive improvement this year to come up to a 9.8 average map average, same as Japan. This year they put up a 12.5, but last year average placement for them was 17.8, almost 18th place on average for Japan last year. So they have made almost a 6 placement improvement on their average scores from last year. Russia making about a 5 placement improvement across the board. Both teams have also improved their performance overall, like we mentioned, pushing their performance up to 11th and 6th from last year at 12th and 19th. Same spacing, however. So Russia about 7 spaces ahead of 7 seeds rather ahead of Japan last year versus only about 5 this year. So a decent difference in terms of overall performance for the two teams there, but still about the same difference here. Russia obviously making a much better run in the tournament than Japan did last year. Unfortunately, Japan getting knocked out in the quarterfinals by South Korea. Russia also did get knocked out by South Korea, but not until the finals. And it was not only the finals, but they only got knocked out 7-5. So they had an opportunity to take South Korea's spot in the grand finals if they were able to win that match.
Right, and just looking at this historically, Russia was always a pretty weird country. In the sense that they, on paper, have a really solid lineup. They could go so far and do have great late game and great early game. And during the OWC, you always saw them just steamrolling through the early stages, no one really being able to compete with them. But once you hit the semifinals peak, once you hit that stage, suddenly Russia just doesn't advance anymore. And it's been pretty interesting, and that's why this qualifier result is giving me a lot of hope this year, because qualifiers this year were a lot harder than last year just due to the custom map existence, so things were able to be way more fine-tuned for tournament play and thus harder. And Russia performing so well on that gives me hope that they will definitely go until finals. And while I would also favor Russia for this match just by their performances generally, Russia have always been really strong in the early stages, and I don't think that changed if you look at the last week's performance. So Japan is gonna probably have a little bit of an uphill battle here.
Yeah, Japan, traditionally has been a strong team in early OWCs, but they took a very big hit, and they have had less of a star roster for a couple of years now compared to a lot of other countries who have a lot of depth. I'd say is the big difference between the two countries here. I think just the difference in backing players compared to the carries on both sides is what really makes the difference for these two teams here. And Russia just has such a well-rounded team every year that they've been able to push themselves to that finals level performance. Unfortunately, not past that point, even though they may have had the potential to. You know, like we mentioned last year, barely losing to South Korea in the losers finals. South Korea ending up the winners of that match there to face off in the losers grand finals, if you will, to push themselves to that grand final spot. But you know, Russia with that performance last year, they got knocked out to losers bracket in semifinals. Yes, unfortunately, that was against the steamrolling United States last year. They lost 6-0. It was actually the biggest score gap of any semifinals match. The second biggest being a 6-3 with Canada, Poland, and Hong Kong, Australia. So unfortunately, Russia had to go up against the best team in the tournament last year in the semifinals, which may have you know, kind of drawn away from their performance a little bit. Unfortunately, they weren't able to take a map there. But, you know, the improvement to this year and the overall consistency on the team, I think, has maintained to a certain amount. And I think Japan, you know, we can't forget about the fact that they have made a massive improvement from last year as well. You know, coming into the top 12 from not even being in the top 16 last year. They looked really good on DT, but that was basically the only thing they had going for them last year. They got 9th as, or they got 6th as their DT rank last year. But Hard Rock Hidden and Nomad, respectively, were 18th, 28th, and 19th. So they didn't really have anything besides that double time. Compared to this year, with a very, very good overall performance, they got 12th in DT only, but they made massive improvements in Hard Rock Hidden and Nomad to come up to 12th, 7th, and 11th seed overall in each respective mods, almost halving their performance placement from last year. So the improvement overall from Japan in terms of playability is going to be very big from them this year, and that's going to be like the little things, I think, that people don't expect. Is their seeding is only, you know, a little bit better in terms of placement. They're about 8 places better, as a couple of other teams have either improved or gone down. But Japan really, across the board, has just made a massive improvement compared to Russia.
Yeah, and Russia does have 3 new players from last year to this year, which might even be the difference here. I would have to quickly find which players played in which mods, but we do have 3 big differences, which is going to be Mr. Future, Din, and NBSS. They're going to be replacing some of the players we have seen a lot of times, like Pollen is missing this year, and XUB is also missing. Aiden, I believe, as well. Yeah, he is also missing. So those 3 players got replaced by, I would say, pretty new players to the OWC. They might just make the difference for the just the mod balancing here, because DT didn't really suffer. Some of these new players are also pretty good on DT, and you still have like really strong players generally, like Red Pixel, whose speed is insane. And I don't know, the Russian team still looks pretty solid to me, because you have 5 recurring OWC players who perform pretty well generally across the board, and then the new Blue Blood here. I think generally on a lot of these mid-tier or like high-tier teams, which unfortunately just barely can't reach the US in terms of performance for the big top 3 teams, I think a lot of them have a few new additions, like Australia, to kind of get them over the edge and have so many really cool and close matches this week. Like, I think a lot of the teams in the mid-tier of the tournament have such good additions this year. As well as Japan. I mean, Japan, you definitely highlighted their performance increase from last year. And Japan is one of these teams which needs to cement themselves as staple OWC players who perform extremely well. Because Japan has been a bit of in the limbo over the years. A lot of players being missing or just being replaced. And we do see a few reoccurring players, but generally, I'm also looking forward to Japan just, you know, showing off and performing really out of their mind and cementing themselves as really good OWC players over the next few years, and as a staple team here in the top 8.
Yeah, it'll be good for Japan. You know, they haven't really had an amazing performance since, OWC 2014, so Japan has really kind of taken a little bit step back from the limelight there, and they have some big roster changes this year. So the captain is still going to be the same with Delis, name change from Shiroha My Mommy, so same player.
Thank you.
Thank you, Delis. But a lot of good roster changes from this year. So they are missing Vento from last year. They're missing Karada. They're missing Konkon Kinakon and Sykes. But they're replacing it for a lot of good talent this year. So they have players joining them like Ager, they have Dashsun, and they have Rollpan joining them from non-previous years, and also Chankoma. So a lot of good improvements.
So he's called Dashsun?
I call him Dashsun because I am not going to come out here and say dash, 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 dash.
I mean,
so,
you could just switch it up with dash, 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 or minus, 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 isn't it?
Quadruple minus.
Yep.
But
minus to the power of 4. I mean,
yeah,
we can be here forever, I guess.
We could work with that. And then Russia with a decent lineup change as well. Almost exactly the same. So you have a lot of returning players like Talala, Red Pixel, Okinatori, Gasha. You have another, I think that's all the players that are returning. So about half the lineup is actually gone this year. Or no, Alametri is also returning. So they're changing out Axu B, Aiden, and Fallon this year for Din, Envy, SS, and Mr. Future. So 3 roster changes for both teams here, actually. And, you know, they've been performing very well. I think last week there was a lot of eyes on the new players for a lot of these teams, given, you know, some countries had some insane performances from their early round, the new players. And you know, they're looking to continue that into these later rounds here as they try and keep their comfortability on harder level pools here. And I think Russia, they just need to be able to maintain that early consistency that they've had in previous years with this new lineup.
And yeah, and they will be looking really strong here. I think the first 2 maps are gonna be setting the tone for the entire day here. We'll probably see a lot of back and forth in the beginning phases. Japan focusing on hidden, and Russia obviously focusing on the Noma 2 stream and DT, for example, and then we'll slowly have some toss-ups. But if Russia cements their performance with 4 SCs or 3 SCs from the get-go, that definitely shows that their early consistency is still present. And that will make stuff a lot harder for Japan. And also, I've got from good authority some inside information here from someone to call the Dashsun Hyphen, because that's what he's being called by quite a few people. I would also say, I think Dashsun or Hyphen both sound pretty good.
All right, well, we'll roll with it and see the big difference there. But you know, looking at a lot of the differences between, you know, this year and last year, Russia's performance in the round of 16 last year was really strong. I mean, you know, all of the MPs are available on the website for anyone that wants to take a look at last year's matches and, you know, a lot of the previous year's matches. But, you know, Russia was putting up 2 FCs almost guaranteed on every map, sometimes 3. With the very notable exception of Hard Rock, which for some reason Russia has just never been like the best Hard Rock team. It's just something that has like carried with them. They've always been like okay at Hard Rock, but they've never been some standout amazing team that is like precision based, great at what they do on that. They're always like, you know, 700 to 800k or less average compared to everything else, where Russia just like even hidden and double time and anything that, you know, you could throw at Russia, they're generally pretty strong with. Most notably last year in the round of 16, Russia did not play a single double time map. That was their match against Brazil. Not a single double for the entirety of that match. And that was a match that didn't go back and forth too much. However, Russia did win 5-2. And they quite literally won 5-2 on like free mod and hidden. So something to keep a note out for today is going to be whether or not Russia decides to continue rolling with a lot of hidden picks, especially against a team like Japan, who you know, it might not have shown too much their qualifiers, but they have a really strong Hard Rock lineup, and that's something that they probably have realized from Russia in past years as well.
Right, and that match against Brazil definitely showcases you the bit of a versatility from Russia from last year, but this year is going to be even better in that sense. That even if double time is one of your strongest mods, you can still forgo double time and win by other means. But yeah, we got the players in the lobby and we'll be starting soon with all the roles and the first pick, hopefully. I think things to expect is probably Russia to ban Hidden in any way or shape or form, and Japan to probably either ban double time or normal 2.
Yeah, so we're gonna look to see what the pick and ban order is here. Russia winning the roll by 3 points. Akinatori with 68 and Delis with 65. Japan is going to ban second. For
I don't think
the
order of the ban order here is going to be important, because both teams know what they're going to ban and it's going to be widely different. If both teams ban something on DT, I would be really surprised.
So Russia is, I'm assuming, going to pick first, but we've also seen a lot of teams opt to pick second, just because I guess it depends on how Russia's feeling today. Because if Russia is feeling very confident that they can continue their round of 16 performance, and that Japan, kind of maintains how they've played in previous years, they should pick first, just to give themselves the opportunity to start out really strong, and continue with that 1 point advantage throughout the rest of the map, if they think that they can maybe take some of Japan's picks and continue going first. And they do opt for that option. I was going to say, if they pick second, I think it would be better if they think Japan is going to show up with an amazing roster this year. That's going to give them a lot of trouble. You want to pick second if you think you're going to be in a losing position, because that way you have your own pick if you're on match point.
Yes.
So you got to remember stuff like that, coming.
I also think you should go for first pick if you know exactly what you're good at and what the opposing team is bad at. I can see maybe a normal 4 ban as well, but I would mostly lean towards Hidden right now. I mean, if they want to surprise me, they can go ahead. But I think picking first is going to be the best choice here for the Russian side, because they'll probably just go right into normal 2 on DT here.
So, first pick for Russia, and the first ban also for Russia. So they're going to get both on the side here. Russia, they really should ban Hard Rock here. They have 1 ban, and you're going up against a Japan this year with an increasingly strong Varvalian. They're gonna ban Hidden too. Okay, not what I would have expected. And I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I'm like trying to work out in my mind why Russia would want to ban Hidden too, and quite literally the only thing coming up is that they just can't play it. Like, I see zero reason that Russia needs to ban Hidden 2 against Japan. I don't think their Hidden lineup has increased too much this year. It was their best performing qualifiers map, but it's not like they kind of wiped the floor on qualifiers with it. So Russia, maybe not with the most perfect ban here ever. I think quite literally in my mind it's because Russia just did not perform on Hidden this year. And that just might be the big difference there. I definitely think Hard Rock, though, probably should have been a stronger ban for Russia, given that, they did underperform in both against Japan. But, coming from previous years, Russia has always been kind of mediocre at both, I guess. So they'll run with it.
Yeah,
but
I would say Hidden is slightly worse off for Russia than Hard Rock, so it makes sense to me to go for the Hidden ban rather than Hard Rock, because Hard Rock is a bit more of a toss-up. And we do see the instant DT3 pick. We see starting with DT. We'll probably see most of, if not all of the DT maps being picked. Maybe DT1 will get skipped. But yeah, the Japanese ban here on normal 2 is not a surprise. If it wouldn't be banned, it would be picked 100%.
Yeah, definitely. And Japan with a very, normal ban. I think Nomad 2 against Russia is probably one of the smartest bans that you can start off with. They just have such a strong stream lineup with players like, you know, the exact lineup that you see in right now. Would probably be very similar to what they'd put in for Nomad 2. But, you know, they have a lot of good players on the bench as well. And Japan, I think, even though they're a strong stream team, they certainly don't hold up to, you know, the star power of Russia on something like a Nomad 2. Especially with, you know, the qualifiers, no mod placements, 11 for Japan versus 4th for Russia. There's just a big discrepancy there, and I think they need to be careful of that as this match goes through. And something like DT is confident for Japan. I think even though Russia has a very good DT lineup, and this is a good first pick from them, they do need to be careful when, you know, rolling with DT here today, because Japan is a very strong DT team this year overall, and starting off with something, you know, like Dahaka, it's a long, consistent DT map as well at 3 minutes.
Yeah, but you can't forget Russia here on with Red Pixel, and just look at the 4-man lineup. That's the 4-man lineup you see in the previous years for double time, and it will stay the same for this year. Maybe changing up a few players depending on how speedy something is, but generally I think this is a solid guess for Russia, and you know, they might not be the strongest, the best DT team in the entire World Cup, but they're up there. They're definitely up there. And I think this is a slight uphill battle by Japan, but I can also see a Japan win here, but it's more like a 70-30 for Russia.
So yeah, this is definitely, you know, Russia's domain here, especially with a lot of the performance. You know, we focus a lot on Red Pixel, but there's also a lot of players like Talala who are fantastic at DT, and Allometry is also very fast. So Red Pixel, even though he is probably, you know, a ridiculously good addition, and he does find an early break, but we saw something very similar happen in UK versus South Korea, and Delis has also traded that miss. So a start for both of these teams here. Very expected start here. Gasha with very good accuracy to come into the beginning sections of this map here to almost lead his team in terms of accuracy. Really struggling all the way around, besides Rollpan is the only one who's really looking confident on accuracy. Barvalian's a little bit behind, but Rollpan really the one that's kind of rolling with this here.
Yeah, so far we do see similar performances actually to South Korea versus UK here. But we might probably just see a few misses coming up any second now, because this is the part where you probably will miss. A lot of different stream lengths and burst lengths, and you see the mess by the Valiant.
Japan not in an amazing position right now. Red Pixel still the only break for Team Russia, who is just looking so strong. We are at about the halfway point in the map, which unfortunately for Varvalian means that he's not going to have a lot of score left in this map, and there goes Delis as well. So
but
Japan
Gasha missed as well.
Oh, it's a 3. It's I think the big problem right now that Japan is in is that it is almost a 3-way FC to a 2-way FC, where there's not really a lot of backing combo in Japan. And the fact that Varvaliant also missed at that halfway point means that he is hard locked to what, 750,000 score with DT. There goes Talala though, so there is the chance for Japan to bring a lot of score back right here now.
Another miss by Gasha. This means that 2 C's here are gonna actually.
It's gonna be so close. Allometry misses. It's gonna go over. Allometry. It's gonna go to Japan. There's no way. In the last couple seconds of DT2, or DT3, they are going to bring it back, and Japan on the back of Rollpan and Ager's FCs are gonna take it in the end. That is an unexpected finish from Japan and Russia on the first map there.
I mean, that's probably a tactical miss by Red Pixel at the beginning, so he gets rid of all the shakes and the nerves, and then sees the rest of the map. I mean, a bit more seriously on topic, it's solid performance by Japan getting the 2 FCs. I think Russia underperformed a bit here. There were a lot more misses than I would be expecting of them from round 16. You know, it was just 1 map so far, but it was Russia's pick. Japan's probably gonna respond instantly with Hidden 1, or if they have prepared anything else here. But I would expect Hidden 1 to be picked first.
Hidden 1 would be a strong pick for them to start off. I think Hard Rock would be something they really should look forward to, and there's the Hard Rock 1 from them. I think having a lot of good players in terms of aim and precision is going to be good. I'd like to make note of Japan, by the way. Ager and Rollpan are two of the new players for Japan this year. They are brand new to OWC, joining them, and they just put up the 2 FCs to carry them to the victory on that first break point there. So expecting a lot from the new talent on Japan here. You know, Russia certainly did not have a bad performance by any means on that JT map, but it certainly was not the classic Russia that I think we could have seen on that early round pick. I also think that Japan just performed very well on that opening one there. I think Russia has traditionally not had to face a team that is as strong as this year's Japan on a round of 16 pool, and I think a lot of teams this year have made such good improvements that these early round matches are just going to be so much closer than they have in previous years, because everyone is just so good.
Yeah, and this is one of the 3 big picks by Japan they have at their disposal, which they could, if they win all their 3 really favorite picks, they could just end up being at match point and force a tiebreaker at the very least. And if they win another one of Russia's picks, that's gonna look very bad for the Russian side. This one's Hard Rock 1, there's Nomad 1 and Hidden 1. All the ones here are present for Japan. Nomad 1, Japan just outperformed Russia there on the qualifiers by far. Japan just seems to be a country focused on jumps sometimes, and they're just going to take advantage of it. Hard Rock 1 is still a little bit on the easier side though, so I can definitely see Russia putting up a fight here. But generally, this is definitely a Japan favorite pick.
Yeah, this is a very consistent Hard Rock 1 here, very reminiscent of something like a Nomad 1. It's just jumps and base extreme bursts here. There's really nothing special in this map. There's no, big 1/3, 1/6 patterns or awkward aim. This is probably as standard as you get in terms of a Hard Rock 1. So it's really going to be about who's maintaining the consistency here today. It is Russia, who has consistently, I mentioned Russia has traditionally not been the highest performing Hard Rock team ever, but they are very consistent on Hard Rock. So even though they don't normally have those big carries, they do consistently put up 800k all around as a team, which is very good for a Hard Rock map. So Japan is going to have to rely on maybe, those 1 or 2 FCs to maybe win this pick out here. They do have players like Varvalian, which, to be perfectly honest, could probably double S maps like this. And then Ager has been performing well as the new player. A-Blue, the #1 ranked player in Japan, joining them again this year. A very strong aim player. And then, of course, you have Hyphen.
But I would expect Varvalian to shine a bit more on Hard Rock 2, which is stream focused. So this one, I think Japan overall is going to be a really solid lineup here. And I mean, you did talk about the 2 new fresh bloods coming in for the last pick for Japan. I mean, they've gotten better for a reason, right? But Russia here is also kind of mirroring that last match where 2 new people come in, Mix in the Future and NDSS. Let's see how well they perform on this one.
Yeah, they'll have a good performance here, I imagine. You have Hyphen holding the double S at the beginning, the only double S. It's pretty easy to drop back at the beginning. A-Blue having a little bit of a mishap there on the triple. Nothing super concerning. It's about 200 combo and maybe just getting those nerves out of the way early here as we come into the first jump section. And, there's 2 big breaks from Russia, so trading out the miss from A-Blue is a lot of combo lead for Japan. And you mentioned Varvalian maybe being stronger on Hard Rock 2. You also have to mention Varvalian had the #1 score out of qualifiers on Nomad 1 with aim. I think Varvalian is arguably one of the best aim players in the tournament currently in terms of consistency, and he's really proving it with his accuracy, along with Hyphen, who is still holding.
Yeah, I mean, Varvalian has really good accuracy, which definitely helps on something like Nomad 1, where if you get the biggest accuracies, there's going to be a lot of FCs on Nomad 1 type thing, but it's going to be accuracies where you see a bit more mastery, and Hard Rock 1 mirrors that, but even further. And you see just Dashdown or Hyphen and Varvalian here with insane accuracies, and also keeping a combo. Illumetry and Mr. Future kind of mirroring that a little bit though.
Yeah, this is very close. About a 1-100 difference between all of those there. The big difference for Russia right now is Envy and Talala kind of behind. A-Blue does break again. Unfortunately for Russia, he's probably going to have to break again in order for them to be able to bring this back. They have a very decent combo lead right now, though. That is, well, not rather a combo lead, but they're almost matching what Japan has right now with A-Blue being down. There's about a 100 combo advantage in terms of what Russia has over Japan right now, given they have the two FCs matching as Hyphen does finally drop the double S. Elementary and Varvalian almost perfectly matching, and Mr. Future kind of comboing up to match Hyphen here. So Russia is going to start to crawl back on this score here. Only about 120,000 difference now. And it is going back on these streams here a little bit.
I mean, the accuracy advantage is, interestingly enough, not really in anyone's favor, maybe slightly in Japan's favor, but I mean, it's going to come down to combos, which means the last PI here, if we see a miss, the opposing team will immediately take the lead.
Ooh, Talala, that's it.
That's it, that's the miss.
Yeah, unfortunately, Russia had the opportunity to take that back there at the ending, especially with Hager dropping the FC. That's really big for Japan here. There is a little bit of time left at the end of the map here, but unfortunately, I don't know if the combo is there enough for Russia to bring this all the way back. Envy has about a 300 combo lead on A-Blue, but it's not going to be enough, I think, into the ending of the map. It's still about 100,000 score difference. And even though the score lead is going to go back, Japan is going to take this into the ending. Talala probably just had to hold for a couple more seconds with an 84,000 score difference between the two teams there. So unlucky, Russia's going to let up a break point as well.
I mean, you can see, while that's the reason why Russia probably did not focus on hard rock bans, because it is really close after all. And it's a lot closer than actually the DT pick, which is interesting to see. Maybe Russia is probably gonna go more for the Nomads or something. I still see some potential in DT though. I mean, they've got DT1, who's also met what's also met by a Russian map. I mean, you can't go wrong. You're a DT country, DT1 is by a Russian map. I mean, just take it.
I mean, it came down to accuracy on that as well, just a little bit. Envy was the only combo left from the non-FCs on Russia that was holding, and unfortunately, he had lower accuracy than Talala. So, that does do a number on your score from the earlier misses. Varvalian really just kind of shined on that map. That was 2x100s for Varvalian there. Elementary did try to hold him off with a 4x100, which is an amazing performance as well, but like we mentioned, it would have been surprising to not see Japan go for a hard rock here. That is just Varvalian's area, and he kind of just would have run through that no matter what here. So Russia maybe going to go back to DT. However, Russia's generally been a strong Nomad team, so they could look for that later on, but they are going to stick to DT for now.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. They're going for the speed DT. DT1 was a bit more of a meme. DT2, I think, is 100% solid. They've got a foreman lineup, just take it. This is one of the harder maps in the pool as well. It's speed focused, everything you want here. Japan was lacking a little bit behind on the DTs for qualifiers. It doesn't surprise me here. Japan is probably buckling up and maybe stealing another pick point here. If they do, it's gonna be looking really good for them, because they could just win off the next two picks for themselves. Because they still have two solid picks, which is gonna be Hidden 1 and Nomad 1. And Hard Rock 2 is a bit of a toss-up, which I would still give a little bit of an edge to Japan, because Hard Rock 2 is also one of the harder maps in the pool, and it is a stream-focused precision pick Hard Rock, and Vavel is just good at that kind of stuff. And he's gonna have a good accuracy, and if he gets in a C, that's gonna be an insane carry performance. Which I don't know if, maybe Russia has someone who can FC the map, but also get like a 99% accuracy. Probably rare, it's either or.
Yeah, so, looking into I think, unfortunately for Russia, this might be one of the last DTs that they can confidently roll with in this pool. We're probably going to see a lot of teams avoid DT1 unless they are pretty much guaranteed to win it on one of these early stage pools, just because DT1 it's pretty easy. I think, like, most notably, to kind of give you an idea of, like, the difficulty compared to an OWC level pool, DT1, I believe it was in 4-digit World Cup in their quarterfinals, which is only, you know, a round ahead of this. And there was quite a few FCs that came out on that. So when you throw in players that are just this good at DT, it kind of gives you an idea of, you know, maybe not pick this map early, especially when you have a match like Japan versus Russia, where DT picks are kind of contested between the two teams. Both of them are pretty good at them.
I mean, you still have the slight advantage for Russia here, and Hardrock 1 was also one of the easier maps in the entire pool, right? So, and it still was pretty close, and mostly because
Exactly
of
my
Japan's
point.
accuracy. But DT1 is not like a map where Japan can shine on accuracy, because it's not really an accuracy-focused map.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's all going to come down to who's feeling it with the consistency today, and I guess we're going to be able to try and see what happens here on Double Time 2, and I think depending on how this goes for Russia, it will completely affect whether or not they pick DT1. I think DT3 was a little bit more of a toss-up pick for them, but it still could have gone in the favor of Russia, and that's probably why it was disappointed that they lost that break point on the first pick there. Russia does need to get themselves back in, and Elementary finds a very early break for them. So unfortunately, they're going to be down on combo to start, but, you know, as I was saying, Russia needs to get themselves into this now. Chunkoma does trade the breakout, so that's what they need to see.
Yeah, you do see lower accuracies generally from Japan right there with the Chunkoma lagging behind a bit, but Tala actually also dropped a lot of accuracy. Novici was rocking a 99%, but he's also dropped next to the misses he got. So for now, it's looking really good for Japan. They've went through the first KI here, and so far slight lead for Japan, which could be another miss by Chunkoma, could be taken over by Russia here, but I think it's going to come down to the second KI and the ending bursts here, which definitely the ending bursts are something to watch out for if you aren't used to the speed. I would probably expect Chunkoma to miss there. Oh, Talala also missed on the slow part here. I don't think they're really up for it, for speed here, so they might also repeat their miss on the last KI there.
Yeah, unfortunately for Russia, this is just not going the way that they want it to right now. There is a little bit of a difference on Elementary and Chunkoma with a decent 300 combo, but Talala finding that break and nobody dropping the FC, and Talala just not having a good time on this map right now, and this is going to go very heavily over to Japan now in the couple seconds at the end here, as nobody breaks except for Talala, Delis, Varvalian, and Rollpan all going, and there goes Din as well. And that is going to be it for Russia by quite a bit at the end now. 400,000 score difference between the two teams. That is a performance and a half from Varvalian and Delis there. That accuracy is just so good. Same with Red Pixel as well. Those 99% are just so hard to pull out on a map that's this fast. 250 BPM.
And also two misses that shouldn't have really happened from the Russian side, and Talala wasn't really feeling the speed here. DT2 might have not been the best of ideas if Talala isn't that up to par of speed. It's a bit of a puzzle here. Japan performed wonderfully. A 3 USC on this map is extremely solid here. But getting this point for Japan, which you would expect a bit more Russia favored, I think Japan is looking extremely strong right now and mostly poised to win this because they have 3 open picks and they just need to win 2 of them. They don't care about anything other than those 3 picks and don't really need to take any huge 50-50s here.
So, you know, Russia needs to really look towards changing things up on this next pick here. I think they're falling in line too much with what they have been looking towards in past years. And I think when you're against a team like Japan, who has a very similar skill set, plus or minus, like Hard Rock versus Hidden here, it is... it's interesting to know what you're supposed to pick here unless you're really confident, and I think Japan knows exactly what they're confident in right now, because they're gonna go for Hard Rock 1 but without Hard Rock.
Essentially, yeah. You can still kind of see Ravellion's egg gonna be really high here, but other players are not gonna be lagging too far behind. So if you get below a 97% accuracy on this map, it's horrible. By far, because accuracy is not the difficulty here. It's either you miss or you see, and you don't get a lot of 100s somewhere because the rhythm is harder, because the overall difficulty is too high. So the timing hit winner isn't gonna be the hard part here. Japan showed in Hard Rock 1, they did get a bit less combo, but they got better accuracies. I still would favor them because they just performed on Nomad 1's generally across the board in the entire tournament here. And Russia wasn't feeling a few of the harder Nomad 1s, at least if you look at the qualifiers. I would say this is one of the 3 expected picks from Japan, and I don't know, if they want to get to match point, this is the quickest way to go for Japan.
So, Japan gonna continue their run of looking really confident on the aim today with Nomad 1 here. They looked very good on Hard Rock 1, especially on the back of Marvalian and Hyphen. And they are going to try and continue that here. However, when you take off Hard Rock, you also run the risk of Russia being able to put Okinatori in. And that is a player that you do not want to have in the lobby, because Okinatori is scary. And he will run through quite a bit of this map with very high accuracy.
Alright, let's see if Dashdown and Marvalian are gonna get 2 100s, which is assesses across the board. I mean, that would expect them to also see. But I would expect most of the accuracies being lowered by misses rather than 150. We got our lineups here. It's 1 new player on the Russian side, and you know, the 2 new players, and 1 reoccurring player from A-Blue on the Japanese side.
So we have the solid lineups for both teams here. We have Alametri and Gasha back in. Okinatori will be seeing for the first time this match here, and NVSS is going to come back in from the Hard Rock to redeem himself. He had that very early miss. We're going to see if he can avoid that on the Nomad 1 here. Marvalian's going to find an early break, which, you know, as uncharacteristic as that is, it doesn't really matter, you know, 100 combo in.
An early miss, I mean, we'll just accept it for now because it's 4 minutes to go, right? So, I don't think there will be 7 miss. That's another miss by Marvalian. This is actually not going to be looking too good for him, because that's around 100 or 200,000 points he's going to be missing if he sees the rest of the night.
This is very important that Russia tries everything that they can to get a point back on this map right here, because they are, you know, they're down 3-1, and that, you know, looks bad enough. The unfortunate icing on the cake is that 2 of those picks on Japan's side are Russia's. So that's something that we have to keep in mind, is that Russia is not down 1 but 2 breakpoints. Only 1 of those has been Japan's pick. So Russia needs to kind of make a little bit of a performance increase here if they want to get themselves back into this. If they are able to win Japan's picks here, they are going to be able to run with their own pick after, which hopefully they start to make a little bit of a change there. Their picks have not been looking amazing today. And if they're able to make that transition and change up what they've been doing, I think they'll have a good opportunity to get themselves back into this match. Although pretty close at that. They're going to have to get another break point if they even want to force tiebreaker against Japan right now. But looking really good thus far. The accuracies all around for the entire lobby. Very consistent. The only difference is Marvalian on that combo, but there goes A-Blue. That's a big combo drop, 800 combo in. That's halfway too. That's a 600,000 maximum score for A-Blue now.
I mean, and the Russian side is still holding. There's gonna be another Ki where most people will miss on. It's very unlikely that people will miss on this part, but you know, I mean, anything is possible.
I think the big difference is the combo.
Yeah, the combo is the main difference on the 1-1 anyways, because look at the accuracies. Everyone's above 99% accuracy, which is to be expected here. So it's all about the combos. And this seems to be a mirror situation from the DT2, actually. You expect one
true,
team
yeah.
to win, and the other just performs really well.
Oh, I think something that Japan has to be worried about is there's that really slow section there, and then there's this pause section here. They have a little bit of a decent spike here in terms of the aim, and there goes Alimetry with the miss-aim, but it's not going to matter too much. It's still 3-way FC to only 2 on Japan right now, so Russia still has a pretty hefty lead on the combo side of things, and the score lead is basically just locking on their side right now. It's a 300,000 score difference, and it's not really going anywhere. The only big one is the fact that Varvalion is so close to FCing that a big break from Russia, and that could do it. There's enough time left in the map. This could go back to Japan. There's a massive combo lead for them right now. This is going to be so close. This 200,000 score and decreasing so fast. It's already going down, and there goes Envy. What is happening? Russia's falling apart.
Okinatori!
Russia is leaving the room. This is gone. It's gone. It's just completely gone back to Japan in the end here in the last streams. How do you mess that up, Russia? How do you let that happen?
I mean, there's another miss by Envy and Varvalion. One by Egypt, but it's not enough. It's 100k. The combos have been reset. A Blue is gonna have the highest combo, but Jesus Christ, where did that come from? That looked so good for Russia. Then Gacha missed on the biggest jump in the map, and you would expect it to be quite close. But then suddenly Russia just kind of lost it at the end.
We had one singular break on Russia, and that was okay. But it was also not good because Japan had a lot of good combo. However, Russia could have held it with 2 FCs into the finish. They could have maintained enough score. However, somehow Russia manages to drop 4 of their FCs in the last quarter of the map when they were 4-way FCing, and Okinatori with a slider break at the end there. And Russia ends up losing it by 133,000 on Japan's pick. So in all, in perfect honesty, yes, that was Japan's pick. Russia probably should not be winning Japan's picks in a perfect world. Neither team should be winning the other team's picks in a perfect world. However, Russia had all the opportunity in the world to take that away from Japan. Same thing with DT. It goes back to, you gotta maintain it into the ending of the map. You can't let the nerves hit. You cannot let yourself get too comfortable as well. Because when you get too comfortable, especially on a big aim map like Nomad 1, it's so easy to under-aim or over-aim, and then you get it in your head, oh, it's a Nomad 1, maybe my teammates are holding me up, and then if everyone gets that mindset, Russia maybe breaks. Unfortunately for Russia, it may not be the case. They might just not have the consistency into the finish. And unfortunately, Russia's just really not in a good position now. They need to win 4 consecutive picks, and not only that, they need to win 5 consecutive picks counting tiebreaker.
I mean, if there's a time to start believing, I think this is it, right? It is looking really grim for Russia, but
Nomad 32.
Well, it's Nomad 32. Who would have expected it? It is Nomad 32, and yeah, okay, then
Russia's using the cheat codes.
They went out of bounds of the map pool and are picking a secret map. No, they're going for the alternate pick here, which, I mean, yeah, there's not a lot left to be picked, really. Like, free mod 1, I wouldn't really want to go for free mod 1 because the one guy on Hidden is gonna shine pretty well on the Japanese side. And the Nomad people, it's still low approach rate and high density, which you banned on Hidden 2. So, no, it doesn't make sense to go Nomad free mod 1. Free mod 2 is a bit speedy. It's a huge toss-up because the Japanese players have been performing way better on the easier maps than Russia. And so far, this is also a toss-up. Good luck to the Russian side. And if you guys want to support them, I mean, you can buy banners or you can spam your favorite, you can spam your favorite copy pasta in Twitch chat. Either way works.
All right, we slipped it in, we fit it in. Everyone, go buy the banners. Might as well roll it now. Go support your favorite team up on the Osu shop. Only $2.50 USD.
Thank you, Chilio. No tax included. Alright, so we'll get right into the alternate map here. Looking back on the previous performances of both teams for the alternate map, I mean, Russia was actually the best, not actually the best team, never mind. That was the tech map. Russia was pretty solid, ranked 10. Japan was 19th. I mean, they aren't really comparable because it's way harder and this is an easier map than the qualifiers. So Japan could probably perform really well on this one as well.
So, Russia has generally been decent on alternating maps, but for some reason, Japan has always come out on top on alting for almost every map that they've played in previous, World Cups as well. They look very consistent on this, and Gasha with a very early break is going to start to push this in the favor of Japan very early here. Russia needs to pull something together here. They had a legendary screw up on that Nomad 1, unfortunately. And recovering from that in terms of morale, I mean, it's going to be difficult for any player, I think, knowing that you've had not only 3 breakpoints now, or 2 breakpoints now, but you have let up 2 potential picks that you could have won, and maybe that other breakpoint couldn't have gone the other way, but it's just a massive hit to the morale for the entire team as well.
And Japan is playing this without any pressure left. They've got 2 picks left, and this is Russia's pick, which is up in the air. There's gonna be an early miss by the Japanese side, but I don't know, it's 4 minutes, it's 3 minutes to go, and chance is looking decent for Japan.
So right now, combo in favor of Russia by about 400 combo in favor of them. The accuracy on Gasha is the main difference between him and Ager right now. It is a full 2% difference in the difference of that accuracy, which is going to give more than just the score, because if Ager finds another break, that low accuracy is going to take a massive toll. However, every single other player on Japan having good accuracy, and there goes Gasha. So that accuracy, it's going to hold a little bit here, but as long as Ager continues holding, and there goes Delis and Okinatori to trade this themselves off. With the, it's the players with the exact same accuracy breaking as well. So the trades are almost dead even right now. The big difference in terms of score is A-Blue's accuracy compared to Red Pixel's right now.
And there's also Ager with the higher combo than Gasha. If Ager takes over Gasha, that's gonna be the lead for Japan. And he's gonna take it because of the combos. Gasha also missing once again. Japan is looking poised to win this one so far, but I mean, there's still a third of the map left.
A Russian team that has never been knocked down to loser's bracket before like quarters to semifinals is now going to get 5-0'd in the round of 16 by a brand new Japan, who in my opinion right now, Japan looks really freaking scary for the rest of this tournament, because their accuracies are also kind of proving that they can carry this performance into later stages as well. And to be perfectly honest, I don't want to doom Russia to losing this match right now, but there's 2 FCs on Japan compared to 2 on Russia, and Ager has a higher combo than Gasha and Okinatori combined.
There was another miss by Dallas, which caused a bit of a point lead here. There's still 100,000 points to go, and the last TI is going to be the biggest spike off the map. It's not that much of a spike compared to other maps, but this one's, it is slightly tougher, so we can expect a few misses here or there.
Japan would have to all break in order for Russia to even attempt to win this, and they're not going to at the end here. Varvalian and A-Blue just looking so consistent at the end here into these last couple single taps. And Japan with the most stomping performance I have seen out of them since 2014, like early OWC. Absolutely rolls through Russia in a round of 16 match, and they're going to take the win 5-0 and advance to the quarterfinals in the winners bracket.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm speechless after this one, because the Japanese side has been performing out of their minds, and Russia hasn't been winning on their own picks here. But I don't know, the new players from the Japanese side are just really good. Just note that down if you play against Japan. Look at what their new players are good at and work around that. Just don't focus on the recurring members who are really good like Delis or Varvalian. Just focus on the new players because that's where you will definitely see the big difference here. And they've shown.
Yep. Massive for Japan there. Those new players, especially on like those original, the initial DT picks. Those two new players were the difference between Japan winning and losing that map. So that was probably one of the most surprising matches of this early stage here. I think that, even though the win may not be the most surprising in all cases, that scoreline is ridiculously unexpected out of Japan versus Russia. Also, to make note of the fact that Philippines beat the Netherlands 5-1, as you see on the left-hand side of your screen there. That match was running hand in hand with this one. So the Philippines going to be advancing to the next round of the tournament. That was a losers bracket match ? So Netherlands knocked out of the tournament ? If that was,
I think so. Yeah.
So unlucky for them. Philippines going to be advancing there, and then Japan going to be advancing to the next winners bracket round. So this is not the last that we will see of Russia. They do have another opportunity to continue through the tournament in the losers bracket here. However, losing this match is going to push them down. They're going to face the winner of Malaysia versus Norway. And I'm correct, Netherlands is eliminated from the tournament, and the Philippines will be advancing next round to face off against the United Kingdom. So some good matches thus far, and we have a lot more to continue over the course of the day. There are a lot more matches today. I think there is 5 more matches. So make sure you fill out your pick'ems. Make sure you get yourselves all settled in, because we will come back in about 2 hours, maybe a little bit less, for the next set of matches. But for this morning, that has been it from us. It's been a pleasure. We've had 3 very exciting matches. Unfortunately, weren't able to see the third one, but a great start to the round of 16 weekend.
Right, and there's plenty of really good matches up to come, which, seems to be all pretty worthy to be watched, because their unexpected scorelines can happen and will happen. So thank you guys for watching, and I think we'll sign out. Goodbye.